The 18 Strong Podcast, episode number 137 with Andrew Hannon from Premier Fitness Systems.
Sending the value that you're trying to help them improve their game and help them play more. So that's where those guys get bought in, and they want to learn more, and they just want to move. They just want to move better, pain free, and that's what we try to give those guys and girls as well.
Welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast, where you get direct access to the world's greatest experts on training harder, practicing smarter, and playing better golf. Now, here's your host, Jeff Pellizzero.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast, where we've got special guest Andrew Hannon this week. Andrew is one of the top young golf fitness professionals coming up in the world of golf, and he works at Premier Fitness Systems in Scottsdale, Arizona. You might recognize that. We call them PFS for short. The guys from PFS, Brandon and Greg, were on the show a little while back, and Andrew works directly with these guys in helping golfers of all levels, amateur, college, professional, leisure golfers, country club golfers, whatever you want to call them, figuring out what they need to do and how they can progress to make their body move better, feel better, be stronger, to play better golf. And we know that that's why you come here to 18 Strong, to figure out for your own golf game, how do I get from point A to point B, or just a little further along that track? The problem is it's often not very clear on what you need to do personally. And if you're not going to someone like an Andrew to figure this stuff out, there should still be ways where you can help yourself on your own, if you have the inclination to do so, to take some of those steps and to move forward in your own fitness training and your golf. So when I brought Andrew on, we wanted to talk about, how does he do that? He loves breaking this down for his golfers into a couple simple pieces. And those are basically moving better. So how do you incorporate that into your routine? Some traditional strength training principles, which most of us know and have done for a long period of time, but maybe you're not doing exactly what you need for your body right now, and how do you incorporate some of those movement pieces in? And then another piece, which we call joint integrity, and Andrew discusses that and kind of gives us a little definition or how he breaks it down for his clients. But basically, how well do your different joints, your back, your shoulders, your hips, your ankles, your neck, how well do they take load? And if you're not prepared to take a certain load, like your golf swing or sitting at a desk all day or being in your car, then that's typically when some injuries can occur. So we discussed that and how you work on some of those things. So we know that sometimes it can be confusing, and so by the end of this interview, we hope that you have a little clearer piece or clearer picture of what you can do to take some of those further steps so you're feeling better, so you're moving better, and you can find enjoyment in the process of learning, and you don't feel so frustrated when you go into the gym or don't go into the gym because you don't know what to do next. So I think you're really going to enjoy this interview with Andrew as we break things down. Before we jump in, though, I want to say a quick thanks to our sponsor for the episode, which is, of course, Rad Roller. Rad Roller makes some of the greatest soft tissue and myofascial products that you can find on the market, and they know that you've got aches and pains, you want to move better, and you want to fix these knots in your shoulder and your back and your hips. But the problem is you often don't have time to go see a therapist on a weekly basis, or you don't have time to go to the chiropractor and get these things worked out. And it shouldn't be that hard. You shouldn't have all these aches and pains. That doesn't have to be a normal thing just because you're maybe getting a little older or you're not in the athletic scene like you used to be. So Rad Roller has designed these products to really help you be able to work on this stuff on your own. Take the time and work on it consistently because, as you know, we talk about here all the time, consistency is the key. That getting one treatment session is not going to do it. It's not going to break everything down and work on what you need to work on and fix it. What the key is the consistent process of working on these different issues, whether that be a tight knot in your muscles or whether that be on a strengthening issue or a stability issue. So being able to use these tools at home on your own is very important for you to continue that process. So go to radroller.com and look at all their different products. They've got a ton of products for everything that you need. And they've also got a bunch of education on their YouTube channel where you can go and find out how to use these products even more thoroughly. But go to radroller.com, use the code 18STRONG to get a discount on any one of their products, and you can find all their information there. All right, let's get into the interview with Andrew Hannon, and let's start breaking down this confusion piece and what pieces you need to put into your program in order to make it the most effective and to get you taking those steps to making your golf game even better. Andrew Hannon, welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast. Finally, it's great to see you and finally get you on the show, man.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it, man. It's been watch your show or listen to your show a long time, and I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. I have to brag on you a little bit first before we get started, so people kind of know a little bit more about you in case they haven't come across your Instagram feed or your Facebook. About a year ago or so, I started seeing these guys from this place called PFS in Scottsdale online, and really liked what I was seeing as far as just the content that you guys were putting out. And we've had Brandon and Greg on the show, and you and I have kind of connected over the past year, and you've really become very instrumental in our Facebook group, the 18 Strong Movement, really helping some of the golfers that have come in with questions. And I think it's really cool to see that golfers can come into that place, ask questions, and people like you and Ben Shear and Nick Mueller are answering questions for these people. So first, just want to thank you for your contribution to 18 Strong and everything that you've done for us so far. But give everybody a little background on you. I know you grew up as a baseball player and basketball player, but now you're into this whole golf fitness world as well. What brought you to the golf side?
Yeah, it's funny, man, because, growing up, I've always, played all the sports possible pretty much. Started with soccer, didn't like that. I grew up into a baseball family. My dad played professional baseball for a while, and so I really started playing that. That was my first love, and kind of integrated into playing other sports as well. Basketball and football. Played all three sports in high school. Played two sports in college. So always had an athletic background, and kind of played golf here and there, just kind of leisurely, right? So, go out in our small town. Our small town is a golf course with sand greens, right? So there's sand. It's sand greens. Literally, that's what you think about. And so we used to go out there, just kind of hit balls around, not really knowing what we're doing. And just, I'd grip it like a baseball bat, just kind of grip it. And I'd just try to hit it far, and it'd slice everywhere. And, as I got older and kind of more into college, I started taking it a little bit more serious. Started playing with guys that, kind of played when they were younger. So I started learning more about the swing and, what I was doing wrong, and, fix my grip, and kind of took it more serious. Started playing, a little bit better courses that didn't have sand greens, but actually had real greens. And once I started getting to my career, I kind of got, did the whole athletic performance thing, worked with other clients, but my buddy told me about TPI, and he said, dude, you should really get into this. And I started studying a little bit more, and my first job was at Lifetime Fitness, and kind of 2 or 3 years in, I started, getting into it more, and I kind of want to start a golf program there because I thought there was a good market. I was in Lenexa, and there's a golf course right next door. So I started doing more, kind of getting that program, started doing screens, and people really bought into it. And I really got into, the flexibility side, mobility side, and again, not really knowing mechanically how the swing worked yet, but I knew pretty well about the body. And a lot of people like that, something different, not having, golf really related to exercise with the people I was working with, just because they thought it was so different. So I really got into that. Then I switched careers, not careers, but jobs. I moved more into an in-home training company with Front Door Fitness in Prairie Village. And they were affiliated with a lot of country clubs in that area. So I thought that was a good opportunity for me to, kind of expand my horizon a little bit more. And that's right around where I got TPI certified, and just kind of took off from there. And kind of the rest is history. Now I'm in Arizona, kind of the golf mecca, learning from Brandon and Greg, and my career kind of took off from there.
Yeah. What was the transition from going from the Kansas City area to Scottsdale or to Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, it was different. I mean, I learned more about golf and just kind of the structure and business side of it the last 2 years than I have my whole life. Just, coming out here, I didn't know there was all these, different tours like the Pepsi Tour and Gateway and Symetra. I didn't know that existed. So it's like the minor league baseball of golf, really. And I learned more about that, and how a lot of these players really have to grind to get where they want to get. And also learning from them more about, again, the mechanics of the golf swing and how it kind of applies to performance and fitness, and pro golfers to leisure golfers to country club guys. I just learned to talk with them and training them how everyone's different, and not every workout or fitness program is going to be the same for every golfer. And that's what I really learned and really adapted to everyone's going to be different on what they want, because golfers are a weird breed, man. I mean, some guys like to feel sore going into a round. Other guys don't want to be touched. They don't want to be loose. They don't want to. Everyone's different. So I have to learn and adapt to kind of what they like, and they're a creature of habit. So just learn about that and about the game and the mental side of it. I mean, since I've been out here, like I said, I've learned a lot the last 2 or 3 years, and I have, just watching on TV in the past of my life. So.
Well, I want to talk about, you mentioned that everybody's a little bit different, and, you guys definitely have a unique style at Premier. And, when you look at some of your posts, it doesn't, from the outside, doesn't necessarily look like traditional fitness stuff. Somebody gets on Instagram or Facebook and they watch some of your videos and they see you guys doing some of these cool movement things and they think, whoa, what is that? But I want you to tie in, because I know that you do have a lot of traditional pieces in your fitness programs. And, we've got people listening on the air that maybe don't have much of a background in fitness. They're golfers. They want to get their golf game, or get their body ready to play better golf. But, so many of them reach out and they say, I have no idea where to start. I don't even know what I need to do. I go on Instagram and I see, 1,000 different exercises. I have no idea where to start. Can you kind of dive into some of the more core pieces of what you guys do when you're bringing a golfer like that in? And, what are some of the bigger pieces that they need to pay attention to?
Yeah, sure. Well, this, for example, like if someone comes in, let's say it's, 23-year-old golfer who has, crazy swing speed and, they've gone their whole college career. If they went to college, going through, I worked with a lot of D1 guys, and everyone, they've told me that, our strength coach, we usually worked out with the football team or the basketball team. I just think it's just crazy to me because, they're both athletes and both athletic sport, but it's just like with football, like you said, a lot of traditional, a lot of power, and that's incorporated in the golf swing. But what's a lot of golfers I work with they kind of miss that foundation. So we try to establish that first and kind of see, okay, where has your foundation started? So if someone comes in like that 23-year-old golfer, obviously I would screen them, and I kind of look for 3 or 4 things, and that's why TPI is so great. And I kind of use a lot of their principles still, because it's a good foundation of what to look for. But we kind of tiered off into our own thing, learning from Mike, our PT, who's done a lot for me in my career, and just learning from him. But 3 things I look for is, one, can they hinge properly? What does their pelvis do? And I kind of I look at their hips. I'm a big hip guy. And maybe, again, what are they doing with their feet? That's where the foundation starts. And if someone walks in, and again, they're used to, heavy lifting, a lot of deadlifts. That's what they want to get in right away, how to deadlift better. And I screen them and they can't hinge properly. They have a tough time hinging. I mean, that's just neglect on my part. Not seeing that without the screen, and then I screen them and they can't even hinge properly. So I kind of go into basics of, a basic hinge. And if they have trouble doing that, that's a basic pattern that I can hammer on for maybe the whole hour, or even weeks to help improve that pattern. And that's what I kind of like to see, is just kind of the weakness that some of these guys or girls might have, because I can hammer that for 2 weeks and they get bought into it. And that's where some of the weird stuff, a lot of the tedious stuff comes in, where they might see on Instagram, like, again, the hinge pattern might come from, all the way down to the ankles to, again, their pelvis or lower back. Something might be compensating that, that's preventing them to hinge properly. And, once they establish that and get bought into, well, I have been hinging properly for the last 3 years, and hinging is all part of the golf swing, right? I mean, that's how they putt, that's how they set up. If they can't do that properly, that's where a lot of injuries come in. So,
how do you get that buy-in? Because, so many people come in, they want to get started. And so I imagine a lot of it is the education piece on why it's so important. But, many people, they want to get in there, they want to do something, they want to get after it right away. How do you balance that? Or do you just say, nope, we're doing nothing but working on this first? Or do you then kind of tie in some of the other stuff so they feel like they're getting work done in other areas, but from your standpoint, we're really hammering on this hinge?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a blend. I mean, you got to blend in, for a business as well, to some stuff that they like to do. And again, that's the secret sauce, right? Just, knowing what they like, knowing what they need, and, what's going to keep them coming in the door, but also keeping them on the course. So that's my job to show them, look, if you can't hinge properly, why would I put, 50-pound kettlebell in your hand if you can't do this right? It doesn't matter if you've been doing it the last 3 or 4 years. So once they get that mindset, and again, their nervous system's going, they're sweating, trying to do a proper hinge with a lot of tension, right away they start thinking, okay, what am I doing wrong? Why is this so hard? So that's where they want to learn more. And that's where the teaching comes in, and where, look, if you can't hinge here, here's where it might be giving you problems. And usually, especially with a lot of guys that have crazy swing speeds, they come in, their left internal rotation, their hips pretty jacked, just because they have so much torque and power going in that left side if they're right-handed. So I show them a few hip movements and, get them down to a 90-90 drill or just a simple, hip car. And they're cramping right away. Them being athletes, their ego is going to set in. So kind of pointing out a weakness that they know that they need to improve on, and it feels hard, and they know it's going to help them. I think that's where they get bought in. They want to learn more. It's something simple like that.
And what about some of the golfers, not necessarily the higher level Division I or, mini tour players? I'm sure you work with some of the other, more country club golfers, a little bit older, obviously working full time or have some sort of other profession. What are some of the movement patterns? Because I know you guys are big on the movement patterns. What are some of the movement patterns that you look at and make sure that these guys can do outside of a hinge? And what are some of the things that these guys can do kind of on their own even to start working on those things?
Yeah, I think, like what you said, the country club guys, those are my favorite guys to work with. Like the retired, mid-60s, even 70-year-olds in their 50s, because those are the guys that, if you get them bought in, and then they're clients for life. And just because, like you said, if they're working all their life, a lot of them are successful. They have time to come in, work on their body, but also they just want to be on the course, pain free without any problems. And again, I can kind of tell right away if, again, a new consultation comes in, 65-year-old walks in, I can kind of tell right away, just the way that he's standing and walking, riding, the waiver form, I can just kind of tell, okay, this guy's not going to move well. Just the way he's sitting. A lot of, older guys that I see have, kind of that desk body because they've been, working, traveling all their life. So again, you get them bought in just to move, and you show them a few things, even a few stretch and flexibility drills, and they walk out feeling better. That's usually when they get bought in and they want to come back. So a few things that I look for again is, simple drill, can they bend over, touch your toes? Do you feel pain? Do you not? Simple drills of what's your overhead position look like? If they can't get their bicep past their ear and they wonder why they can't do that, it seems like a simple drill and it's hard to them. And again, they're listening. And some of them just over time, either they've been doing a lot of traditional strength or even just not worked out at all, been sitting all their life. You explain that to them. Hey, this is what you've been doing all your life. One quick movement here, if you're on the golf course, you fall or you swing the wrong way, your back's going to lock out. So just, sending the value that you're trying to help them improve their game and help them play more. So that's where those guys get bought in, and they want to learn more, and they just want to move. They just want to move better, pain free, and that's what we try to give those guys and girls as well.
There's something else that you've talked about in a couple of your posts and even just in our interactions, and that's the importance of joint integrity and how you guys work a lot on that, and along with the movements. But could you kind of clarify what that is exactly? What does joint integrity mean to the layperson that might not necessarily have the background of fitness professional or even somebody that's been in the gym much? But it's so important for everybody as far as working on those movement patterns and getting their flexibility. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, mine's my kind of definition, not as sound as smart as Mike, like I said, RPT or any physio that you've had on a show, but the kind of way that I see it is, can you get a guy, or I keep using guy, or a girl that comes in, and I think a joint integrity is just being able to, lube up your joints again to the point where, you're able to use them again pain-free in the full range of motion and being strong in those positions. So for a golfer, again, kind of getting into the to the warm up part of it where it's important. You get on the course, you show up, maybe 5 minutes early, hit a few balls. It takes you about 3 or 4 holes just to get warmed up. I mean, your joints are taking a beating. So if you don't, treat your joints right and get them warmed up and get them strong, that's where a lot of injuries can happen, man. And what we do is we try to centrate those joints where, we try to put you in positions where you're weak, and you might not think you might be a fit guy coming in, but if you're in a position where you're putting your body in a stressful position, your joints or your tissue's not ready for it, that's where a lot of bad things can happen. So we try to train you in those positions where we're trying to get you centrated with, let's say that, something simple like a plank. We're looking at everything to, where your feet position is, your pelvis, what's your lumbar spine look like in a plank. And if right away I say, okay, get down and do a plank, and the client gets down without any type of tension or centration in their joints, again, they're going to have, a little bit of trouble, or they might feel strong, but they're in the wrong position. So we try to train them in the strong position that's going to be best for them. And, again, it's going to be hard because their body's not used to that. So take that into the golf swing, and you put your body in a position that it's not ready for, like showing up 5 minutes early and then start swinging. Then over time, those joints are taking a beating and muscles are taking a beating, and that's where a lot of back problems, neck problems come in. And we try to train people to avoid that. And once people recognize that, get their body ready to play, whether you're a pro or a leisure golfer, I mean that's what's important. And it takes a while to get people to buy into that, because a lot of people, it's weird. A lot of people don't like to warm up on the range or whatever it is, but that's for you to play a long time. That's what you have to do.
Yeah. I mean, the golf swing is such an unnatural movement, really.
Sure.
And it's constantly putting you in positions that your body's not used to. And so if you're not training into those positions, you get in those risky spots. And I think Dr. Andrea Ospina was on the show, and he said that, injury occurs when your joint or tissue experiences some sort of load that it's not ready to handle. And,
exactly.
And if a golf swing does that basically throughout the entire motion. Why do you think it is that people have such a resistance to, especially the leisurely golfer, to warming up at the range or getting there on time and doing a little bit of physical movement outside of just a couple swings and hitting some balls and chipping and putting?
It's funny, man. I'm on the constant quest to figure that out. Because quick story, I did an event at Orange Tree, which is a golf course out here. It was one for my fiance's work, and I was just going to set up a little stretching table, and this is before I had to come in the studio. But I've probably about 40 or 60 guys walk by me, and I said, "Hey guys, want a quick warm up before you hit balls?" They're like, no, man, we're okay." Every single one of them said that. And I was kind of observing how they're, warming up, a couple twists here and there. They might come up with the club, and it's funny. It's not funny because I never want to see anyone hurt. About 3 or 4 of them came back, walking towards me, holding their lower back or holding their shoulders. Like, man, I should have came and see you. I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, but again, it's weird, man. Because I mean, I think the pros are doing a lot better job of it. Watching some of these guys, especially when we went to Torrey Pines. I mean, they're getting their body ready because it's their lifestyle. But I think for the leisure golfer, it's just another day. They just want to get out on the range, start playing, or again, there's no accountability. They're out there to have fun. They're out there to, just have a little competitive edge when they're playing. But it's hard to answer that question. It's a mystery.
I've been that guy on the range with the tent, trying to coerce people over to just help them out a little bit and show them a few things.
Yeah,
I'm just curious because you're in Arizona, obviously much more of a golf mecca than here in St. Louis. Do you find that, and you're from KC, so you're from the Midwest, you've seen both worlds. Do you find that it's becoming a little more prevalent out where you guys are now, that people are becoming a little bit more aware of what they need to do prior to? And obviously you work with very high level golfers, but I'm talking more, again, the leisurely golfers, the country club guys. Do you see people starting to do more warm-ups on the course?
Maybe a small percentage. I think it's more of this. I just can say for the guys that we see, especially the leisure guys, the country club guys, they like to come in. Some of them come in for a workout before they play. And again, it's hit or miss. Some of them feel great. They play great when they go out that next hour, or they might feel a little tired. But again, it's a lot of those guys. I see us for 2 or 3 hours during the week, and they go to the course, they play, and we don't get to see them till that 2 days or the next day. So it's like it's really putting in the work outside of coming and seeing us. That's where they're going to see the most benefit. And I try to give as much tips, drills. I'll give them a sheet to do before they go on the range. Like, look, just take 10 minutes and just do these few exercises before. And I might say, I ask them the next day, did you do those? I say, I might have done a few of them. But again, I think it has to take that injury or even that slight feeling of being hurt for them to really get bought in. So, okay, I really have to, warm up or get my muscles, joints loose before I play so I don't get hurt again. And it has to take sometimes that injury for them to really get bought into warming up on the range or doing a few stretches before. A lot of country clubs have gyms now. So I think a lot of these guys are on short schedules, and once they're on the course, they're ready. But it's a mystery, and then that's the quest of mine to really help these guys out so they don't get hurt, but really get them bought in. Just take 5-10 minutes. That's why on Instagram I try to 1 minute of 6 neck drills that you could do. It takes 60 seconds. So if you can't, if you're on the course for 4 hours, you can't take 60 seconds just to warm up your neck. Like, I'm really trying to push that and be stern about it, just so, again, we want people to play for a long time.
Hey, let me jump in here real quick and say a thanks to our featured sponsor of today's episode, which is the PGA Tour mobile app. And the PGA Tour knows that, like me, you're busy, you've got a family, you've got kids, you're probably running from sports or different things, or you just don't have time to sit and watch golf the way that you would love to do, the way that I love to do on the weekends. And so they've created a solution for us. It's the PGA Tour mobile app, and it allows you to not only stream live golf, which is fantastic, but in case you're not in a place where you can stream live golf or can sit and watch, you can actually follow in live time real updates on the scores, what's going on. You can check highlights, different shots. You can check the different courses, the maps, everything that you need to know about what's going on the tour, not just the PGA Tour, but the web.com, the Champions, the Latin American Tour, all of those different tours that are run by the PGA, you can find on the PGA Tour mobile app. So if you're busy like me and you don't have a chance to sit down and watch like you would like to, you can take this with you. You can stream it. You can check your scores, everything right in one simple little place. So just go and get the PGA Tour mobile app. You can get it for your iPhone, iPad, Android. Even you BlackBerry folks can still get the PGA Tour mobile app. So go check that out in your app store, and let's get on board and stop missing the play-by-plays and all the golf that you want to catch up on. All right, let's get back to Andrew. Yeah, one thing that I continue to realize is the simpler we make it, the better it is for everybody. I think that we tend to, as fitness professionals, and really anybody that's in a profession, we tend to complicate things unnecessarily. And so what we can do, and I've seen tons of your warm-up posts, and they're great. You can put some in the group. When we can take just some simple things and just say, okay, just do these 5 things. Write them down and do these 5 things for the next year every time you go play, and make it that simple. What would be just a couple things that you would recommend for somebody that takes less than 5 minutes to go out on the course, before they even swing a club?
Yeah. Definitely, again, depending if you're on the range, let's just make it the range. Just make it, something easy. Again, you could take, one of your long clubs or even your driver, and like I said, just taking 5 minutes to get your hips loose. I think that's most important, because I think the hips are kind of the driver for the back. If your hips aren't working, your back's not going to work. Again, it's going to work up the chain. Definitely warming up the hips, whether it's, a simple hip flexor stretch, couple hip circles, hip cars. And again, if people don't know what hip cars are, again, Dre's been on the show before. He gives a good explanation, but a lot of videos out there about a hip car. Just a couple T-spine rotation drills. Again, something where you're not going too quick. You want to be controlled, right? Because, again, you're going to be hitting, depending on the course, 14, 13 drivers that day. And depending on how long you warm up, again, your back's taking a beating. So getting that ready, slow rotation drills for the T-spine. And I kind of work up the chain, kind of working on shoulders. Either it's a shoulder car, or just, a few rotations with the club over your head without any neck pain. Just to get your shoulders going. Because again, your T-spine control your shoulders. And, if those aren't loose, again, it's going to work up to your neck. So again, working on the neck, where there's a few shoulder rolls, there's a few neck stretches. Then, something to get, I feel like something to get your heart rate up, kind of get your central nervous system going. So whether that's, I like to take, the driver, or even if I have a long stick in my bag that one of my buddies gave me, that I kind of use for stretching, but I kind of use that as a baseball bat to take a few, baseball swings, just just get the body going where it's a different plane. You're getting your body ready for rotation. Then if that takes 5 minutes, great. At least you did something. I hate when people just walk up to the range. They might just hit a few wedges, get in the sand, might hit some sand shots. But again, I'm growing up baseball player. I wanted to show up to the field and just start throwing. If golfers want to be related to athletes, which they are, you have to warm up like an athlete as well. And that goes for the leisure guys. You're not going to show up if you're playing a leisure softball game and just start throwing. I hope not. You're going to run a couple poles or, stretch out your hamstrings, warm up your arm or something. The same has to go for golf. So if it takes 5 minutes, great. Just don't show up and just start doing the specific task at hand because your body's not ready.
Yeah, I don't know if you're watching the same recreational softball that I'm watching, but I'm sure that some of those guys could take some of these lessons as well. Because
exactly.
Some of these leisurely sports are us guys that we played sports prior to. We go out. I was a soccer player, and you used to play indoor soccer, and it's crazy how guys would just come out and they just start ripping shots and me, I'd tear a hamstring or a quad or something like that if I just ran out there and started ripping shots.
Exactly, man. That's just how I see it, how the mindset is. Because when I was little, my dad was on me all the time about, get loose, get stretched out. And I just looked at him and was like, Dad, I don't want to. I look funny doing it. So that might be kind of a mindset there. They might think like they don't know what they're doing, so they're just not going to do it. Just because of that mindset, they look funny or people are looking at them. But that's how I felt as, playing as a youth. But now as I've gotten older, if I don't warm up in college, I'd show up, an hour before the game, just to stretch out and get loose. Because that's how, I got my routine. Like you said, I was afraid I was going to blow out an Achilles or something if I didn't get, everything loose. So again, I think it's just a different mindset. And sometimes an injury has to occur for them to get bought into. You have to get your body warm. Yeah,
especially with golf, sometimes it's almost a pride thing. Like I don't need it. I'm a healthy guy. I'm a fit guy, and it's just golf. I don't need to. But you're right. Until you get that tweak or that back pain or whatever that sidelines you for a little while, and you realize, hey, I can't do this unless I do it, and then you start to see the benefit of it, and you're not waiting 2, 3, 4 holes until you feel right, until you feel like you can swing pretty freely. Then you start to get the benefit. I want to go back to a little bit of kind of your programming and how you decide on programming a few things, because traditionally in the weight room, guys will they'll superset back and forth, but I know that you mix in a lot of this movement pattern stuff with some traditional strength training. Can you give us a little glimpse on how do you decide how to program some of that stuff in there for kind of the regular guy? There's a lot of guys that go to the gym and they want to just do this stuff on their own. They don't necessarily want to go and meet with a professional or see a professional every week. How do they take some of this movement pattern stuff and tie it into a regular workout as opposed to taking a whole nother day and doing an hour of mobility work and all that? How do you fit some of this in for the busy guy?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think the guys that come in, they're hesitant at first, but once they're moving around and understand the benefit, they love it because it's different. It's nothing that they've done before. And it's simple stuff that, not simple, but things that we kind of grew up doing. That's where we started, from the crawling, to the hanging on monkey bars to, again, just moving around on the floor. And that's kind of where we started. And we kind of lose that as we grow into professionals or just grow into the corporate world or just growing up in life, right? We start to sit or drive or, again, stand, whatever your profession is. And we lose that integrity of just being able to move. So we kind of bring that back into light. And, again, for me, integrating it with traditional strength, because, again, I like the feeling of being strong and being an athlete. Because I was a, meathead type, especially when I started. I bench pressed 3 times a week. And it wasn't until I moved out here where I really learned from Brandon and Greg and what they were trying to adapt into their culture, where again, I thought I was, the strong guy, but they showed me a few things. It's like, man, I can't do this. I can't do a simple hang. I think that really brought into light and what I wanted to teach people the same thing. And kind of how I blend it with a normal guy. Of course, I'll get them started just kind of moving around. Some of them like shoes off just because to get their feet, depending on, what I see with their feet. And we're just doing, some movement drills. It could be dynamic, be soft mobility. Again, a lot of crawling, just moving, rotation work. And again, depending on what their limitations are, I really, really hammer that. So then you have to get creative. Let's say I see someone 3 times a week. I might, a little bit of soft mobility on like a Monday, which is in the crawling stuff, a lot of hip work, hinge patterns, overhead stability. And we'll go into Wednesday, then I might add some strength. And I love teaching, the deadlift and squat because I just love to teach that. And you teach someone how to deadlift right and they feel it, and that's where they get excited. And especially if they do it pain-free. And again, I feel stronger now than I did when I was lifting a little bit more, but I can lift just as much now, adopting all these movement patterns and principles than I did back then. And especially show some of the older guys and women, get you moving better. Now we can lift weight because I'm confident that your patterns are good. You know how to hold your pelvis in the right position. So let's deadlift a little bit. Then once they get that, then again, they get excited. But then some of them, like to lift a little bit, and then they're like, okay, can we move some more? So it's a constant blend. Then you have to throw in, again, with some clients, I throw in still some of the traditional, supersets, compound sets, a lot of triple sets, just because, they like to feel your muscles working. Like some of them like to feel sore afterwards. And, that's the blend, making them happy, but also giving them stuff that they want and that they need.
I think that's an important piece, is that it doesn't have to look a certain way. There's not one right way to do it. And so if you're the one listening to the show and you're like, man, I just don't get it. I just don't know how to program it for myself. So first of all, yeah, you can go and get assessed and work with somebody like Andrew or Brandon or Greg or any of the guys that have been on the show, but also just know that you don't have to figure it out perfectly. Do some of the stuff that first challenges you, and figure out how to make it more challenging, how you can get a little bit better at that. It doesn't have to look like the traditional sets and chest day, back day, those kind of things. And there's nothing wrong with that too, if that's what you want to do, if that's your goal. So I think so many times people get so caught up in, well, I'm not going to do it the right way, so I'm not even going to do it, or I'm not going to take the time to go see somebody, so I'll just put it on the back burner. And I think that's where we sometimes get caught up. I know you, in our emails back and forth, you mentioned something that your view of health and fitness isn't the idea of having a ripped body all year long and working on these super intense workouts. And you mentioned 3 things that I thought were really cool. That first, it has to do with active habits. Second has to do with maintainable nutritional choices, which I thought was awesome. And I'm going to have you kind of dig into these a little bit. And then a healthy mindset of self-worth. Can you kind of touch real briefly on each one of those before we get into some of the final questions?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it's tough for some people, especially, that's kind of where I have a chip on my shoulder, where, especially in the golf world, where I'm still pretty new at that, man. A lot of the guys that have been on your show have been in the industry for years, in like Jason Glass or, a Stan Utley, like those guys have been in the industry for so long. So I'm still kind of new to the realm. And you get a golfer who's been playing, all their life, walk in and they're looking to train with me. They see me, I've been, pretty blessed with, good genetics, but I've worked hard to kind of get where I am fitness wise. And I think either their first mindset, okay, this guy's going to hurt me, or, okay, this is going to be really intense. And it's just not that way. So I just try to show them the value of, look, I'm here to listen to what you need, and I'm going to provide you the value that, that's going to give you that. And again, I'm going to see how you move. And usually once they hear that, they feel a little bit more comfortable. And that's about the value that I like to bring to people. And on top of that, with nutritional habits, I've done the competitive bodybuilding thing before, and that, the strict diet and all that stuff. And, that's for some people, and it was for me for a little bit, but it's just like having that constant mindset of, just having a good relationship with food. I mean, that's where it starts. I love good food, but I also like, all the vices as well. I like my coffees, I like my pastries, So I'm probably not the best to, give out, great nutritional habits, but, I'm confident in my mind of, eating healthy is important, and especially for those that have health problems. And that's where I'd really like to push that direction. But also if, especially out here, or even wherever around the U.S., I mean, everyone likes their entertainment. So they're going out to eat, they're going out to baseball games, golf tournaments, what have you. And there's going to be temptation everywhere. And as long as you have a good, healthy mindset about it, I mean, just don't worry about it. Again, don't go reckless where, you're putting yourself in danger in an unhealthy state. But as long as you have the right relationship with food and the mindset, everything's going to be okay. I mean, it's the next day, if your goal is not met, there's always the next one. And then the last thing is just, being able to, just help people and just being able to, provide that type of information. I mean, that's where my passion's at. And whether it's, online or if someone's coming in house, that's, where I like to bring the value. And again, it's to the point where I'm just kind of rambling on now, but that's where I'm at right now in my career.
Yeah, I think that's so important that, just implementing good habits. That's what it really all boils down to. It's having a desire to improve and then just slowly and steadily working on building your habits. And it's something that we all struggle with. I think people probably, see some of your posts and your images and they see, you with your shirt off and they're like, man, this guy, he's got his nutrition figured out. He's got it all, and with the competitive bodybuilding and things like that, I think people just have an unrealistic expectation of the fact that it's just easy for you. And
sure.
They don't realize that you have those struggles. And then the whole idea of having a mindset of self-worth around that, like not tying your self-worth to those food choices or to your workouts or to your golf game, your golf score. I think that's super important.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I want to jump in before I know we're running out of time here. I want to get the final questions in, which are coming. And the first one, of course, is the famous Caddyshack or Happy Gilmore.
That's Happy Gilmore, man. I mean, I grew up in that age. I remember the first time I saw it, I think I was at a sleepover in junior high, and we watched it for the first time. We were rolling, and we were 12, 13 years old. So I'd have to say, got Happy Gilmore.
That's great. I had a 14-year-old client in the other day, and he'd never seen it, so I had to show him the Bob Barker scene.
Oh no! Yeah,
I think he went straight home and watched it, so he loved it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm curious to hear your answer on this one because you've always got your headphones on. I never know what you're listening to in your videos, but what would your walk-up song be if golf was like baseball walking up to the plate or a fighter walking to the ring?
Yeah, so this is a question I thought about the most, and it's funny because I am now the old school guy because I'm more of the the 2000s hip hop type of guy. So I like the Nelly, I like the the DMX, all those go Ja Rule. So I thought about it, and I had to say Nelly, Country Grammar, because I think that's one of my favorite albums. So I'll have to say Nelly, the Country Grammar.
Nice,
yeah.
St. Louis guy, love it.
Yeah, Midwest.
All right, if you could play 18 holes of golf with anyone in the world, past, present, or future, who would it be, and where would you play?
Yeah, I think I thought about this one too. I went more of the kind of inspirational route, and I'd say Jackie Robinson, just because with baseball, kind of growing up in a baseball background, just hearing stories of kind of what my dad went through, especially, he just played minor league ball, but he's playing, a little bit up north, a little bit in the south, West Virginia, where, and my dad's African American. So just knowing kind of what he went through in the 80s and 90s, and just hearing the stories of what Jack Robinson had gone through would have been interesting to me. And I think that would have been, 18 holes would have been, went by pretty quick. So just hearing his stories on what he went through and the struggles would have been, pretty life-changing. So.
And where would you guys play?
We would play at Eagle Bend Golf Course in Lawrence, Kansas.
Really? Why there?
It's probably my favorite course because I probably played it the most, and it's one where I'm most comfortable at. I probably know every, green, undulation, every fairway on that course. So I get a lot of laughs out of that, but that's where I'd play.
That's awesome. Great answer.
Yeah.
All right, my man, as a closing question, what has you most excited about what's going on with you guys at PFS and your career personally and everything moving forward here.
Sure, man. I mean, we just got done last month with our first golf performance workshop here at PFS, and it was really successful. And it's funny because I didn't, Brandon and Greg did most of the teaching and lecture. And I was just a participant, and I learned more. I'm here every day from just learning from that experience and learning from Greg and Brandon, just kind of, again, go over our principles than I have in a long time. And it just really made me excited to hopefully in the future, and this is the plan, to, kind of get involved in that and teaching, the next workshop or the ones in years to come, whether it's around the country. Greg's a pretty big dreamer, and a lot of stuff he does, comes true. So hopefully around the world, and me being involved in that. So that's what gets me excited, and hopeful for our future and mine.
Well, that's great, man. I love everything that you guys are doing on there. Obviously, we're big fans of PFS and the system you guys are creating down there. And you mentioned that you're still one of the newer guys in the block compared to a Jason Glass or a Stan Utley. But I just want to let you know that what you're doing is inspiring so many people, and the stuff that you're putting out there, I think is so good. And you've helped so many people in the 18 Strong community already. I'm hoping that everybody that's listening goes and checks out your Instagram, and we'll even see if we can pull some of your warm-up videos and throw them on the show notes page so they can check that out and just get some more of that information. Because, like I said, the information that you're putting out, you guys at PFS, has been very inspirational to me. It's had a definite impact on the way that I work with my clients on a day-to-day basis. So just want to thank you guys and Brandon and Greg, and if you could pass the word on to those guys. And then all the help that you guys have done as far as helping out with some guests for the show, like your buddy Scott Stallings and things like that too. So really appreciate everything you guys are doing for us. And if we can do anything for you, just let us know.
Yeah, thank you, man. I mean, you've done enough already. I mean, just being able to build this community and this podcast, I mean, it's doing a lot for us. And giving me this opportunity is something a couple years ago, I never thought I'd have an opportunity to do, because I'm not much of a, air quotes, a talker. So I appreciate you just getting me out of my comfort zone and, pushing me to do this. So thank you, man.
You got it, buddy. We'll talk very soon, brother.
All right, brother.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us again on the 18 Strong podcast. If you want any more information on Andrew or Premier Fitness Systems, just go to 18strong.com/Andrew Hannon. You can find everything there, or look up episode number 137. And a special thanks to our sponsors of today's episode, Rad Roller. Go to radroller.com to check out all the amazing soft tissue tools that they have to help you get out the knots and start moving better, as well as the PGA Tour mobile app, which is helping us stay on track and not miss the golf that we want to catch up on every single weekend. I want to thank you again for joining us here. If you're not in the Facebook group, the 18 Strong Movement, by all means, go there. We talked about it on the episode here with Andrew. He's a main component in there, always answering questions for people and helping out. So if you have questions or you just want to get in the mix, get in the conversation with what's going on here at 18 Strong, you can definitely do that. And then one more heads up, I want to let you know that we are in the end of April right now, and we're about to jump into May of 2017, and we've started kind of a tradition here. This will be the second year of the tradition, called Mobility May, and we are going to be featuring a lot of different videos on Instagram and Facebook and some of the different social platforms of just some other people that we've had on the show, some of our fans, some of the listeners. We're encouraging everybody to get involved in this, and we're going to be putting out some videos of different mobility exercises with the hashtag Mobility May. So if you want to get involved in that, just check out our social media feeds starting May 1st, and it'll go through the end of the month. And every day, we're going to have some new videos that are coming out from some of the different people just in our tribe, in our community, that are putting out some great stuff. And that doesn't mean you have to be a fitness professional to be a part of it. You can be a golfer. You can be a golf pro. You can be just a fitness professional. It doesn't matter. The intent is just to create awareness around the fact that we need to start moving better as people, as humans, as golfers. And the more we start moving better, the stronger you'll get, the better your golf game is going to be. So that's one way that you can train hard, practice smart, and play better golf. So let's do that. Check out Mobility May. Look for that hashtag. Use that hashtag, and we will catch up with you next week. Train hard, practice smart, play better golf.
Thanks for listening to the 18 Strong podcast at www.18strong.com. And remember, train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.